I love pretty much any kind of Christmas film, but I particularly adore any that take Dickens' A Christmas Carol and turn it into something contemporary. And this is certainly the case with A Carol Christmas, the 2003 film from Hallmark. And obviously the title is very cliche. Most of these films tend to have a character in them called Carol. That's the case here. Our protagonist, Carol Cartman, is played by Tori. And the film's directed by Matthew Irmas, written by Tom Amundsen, and among others stars Dinah Manoff as Aunt Marla and William Shatner as Dr. Bob. And our protagonist, Carol, is our Scrooge. She's not a very nice person. She has her own chat show. She kind of feels like everybody should do what she has the kind of stereotypical assistant who's very sweet and has a young child, but does absolutely everything for Carol. And she has a family member or a couple of family members who she's just not a nice person to. And then, as you can imagine, she is visited by the Jacob Marley character, who happens to be her aunt. And that's actually really interesting. I won't spoil any of the narrative or the intricacies of the narrative, but I found that really good because obviously with Jacob Marley, he was Scrooge's business partner, but Aunt Marla actually made Carol the way she is. Aunt Marla taught Carol to be nasty and self-centered in order to get what she wants in the entertainment industry. And it's quite interesting that we actually have a reason straight away for why Carol is the way she is. She's not just a nasty person. They're giving her quite a bit of background, and I think that's really good. She's actually a lot more well developed than most of these kind of adaptations. Usually it's just a person, usually called Carol, has been maybe rejected by somebody she was about to marry or something. But this one actually gives her quite a lot of substance, and I like that. Once Aunt Marla visits her, she's visited by three spirits, goes to Christmas past, present and future, and is of course shown what her Christmas was like, is like, and will be like. And I like that a lot. I think it works really well. The individual stories that they focus on, or the events in the past, present and future, are all different enough that she gets a different perspective. We get to look at different characters. The supporting characters are all quite well developed as well. I was really pleasantly pleased with that. The ghost characters are not ethereal. Sometimes with these adaptations, usually not so much with contemporary ones. They just look like people, they don't look like spectres, if you will. Whereas with, I feel like, more classic adaptations, they kind of try and make the visiting spirits more spirit-like and more ghostly. But here they don't, and that's fine. That is usually the case with more contemporary adaptations, and it didn't bother me. I really liked Ghost of Christmas Present. I thought the Ghost of Christmas Present was really brilliant and really thoroughly entertaining. The Ghost of Christmas Future was eerie, creepy, slightly terrifying, really, really fantastic, and really enjoyed that performance. I wasn't necessarily expecting much from this. I love Hallmark films, but they're usually cheesy and cliche, and I kind of thought that this would be the case. And yes, it is cheesy and cliche, but I also feel like it's a lot more well developed. And the soundtrack, I love the soundtrack. I think the songs they picked, most of which are Christmassy, very festive songs, are brilliant. And there was one, and annoyingly I didn't write down which one it was, but it was an instrumental of a very popular Christmas song, but it had been tweaked in a way that where it was normally quite a jolly and upbeat song, it was actually quite somber and a lot more emotional. And I wish, if you watch the film, please remind me of what song that was. But I thought they did a really good job with that, and I really enjoyed it. So although it's not the best film I've ever seen, and obviously the film It's Christmas Carol with Carrie Fisher is always going to be my favourite adaptation, contemporary, or inspired by, I guess adaptation isn't the right word, parody in some ways. But it's really good, much better than I expected. It feels a lot more modern than 2003. It feels a lot more recent. But ultimately, I really thoroughly enjoyed it.